You are nothing but a liability with a scope, Rowan. Tonight you watch, you do not breathe without my permission. And if anything goes wrong down there, I will personally ensure your court-martial this time. Colonel Victor Hale's voice crackles through the radio, each word delivered with the precision of a man who has spent decades perfecting the art of control. Kayla Rowan lies prone on a jagged outcrop of volcanic rock, her cheek pressed against the cold stock of her rifle, and says nothing. 900 meters below, 163 Rangers from the 163rd Battalion begin their descent into the Dharam Valley, their silhouettes barely visible against the moonless Afghan night. She adjusts her scope with fingers that have performed this motion 10,000 times. The crosshairs sweep across the valley floor, past the crumbling mud walls of an abandoned village, past the dry riverbed that cuts through the terrain like a scar. Everything about this approach feels wrong. The valley narrows at the center, flanked by high ridges on both sides. Perfect kill zone geometry. Any sniper worth their salt can see it. But Case is not here to offer tactical assessments. She is here to observe, nothing more. Observer Rowan, confirm your position. Hale again. Position confirmed, sir. Overwatch established on grid reference 742. Remember what I said. You are not cleared to engage under any circumstances unless I give direct authorization. Are we clear? Crystal, sir. She releases the radio and exhales slowly. 4 counts in, 4 counts hold. 4 counts out. The breathing pattern is automatic now, carved into her nervous system by years of lying in positions exactly like this one, waiting for targets that sometimes never came. Below, Captain Jonah Price raises his fist and the column halts. Through her scope, Case watches him scan the ridgelines, his movements deliberate and careful. Jonah has good instincts. He knows something feels off about this valley, even if he cannot articulate what. A younger ranger jogs up beside him, his voice carrying faintly on the night wind. Captain, the sniper on Overwatch, she the one from the Black Ridge incident? Jonah does not look up from his map. Sergeant Rowan is one of the finest marksmen I have ever served with. But the court-martial said the court-martial was inconclusive. That is all you need to know. The younger soldier hesitates, then asks the question everyone wants to ask. Do you trust her? Jonah finally raises his head, gazing up toward the ridge where Case lies invisible in the darkness. His answer is quiet but certain. With my life. With all our lives. Case cannot hear the words, but she sees Jonah's lips move, sees the way he nods toward her position. Something tightens in her chest. Trust is a currency she has not been able to spend in 18 months. Not since Black Ridge. Not since 6 of her teammates came home in flag-draped coffins and the official report placed the blame squarely on her shoulders. Failure to provide adequate Overwatch support. Delayed response to hostile contact. Dereliction of duty under fire. The words are branded into her memory. She knows them better than her own name. What the report did not mention was the radio blackout that lasted 7 critical minutes. What it did not mention was the intelligence leak that placed her team directly in the path of an enemy force that should not have known they were coming. What it did not mention was Colonel Victor Hale's voice on the command frequency, ordering her to hold fire while her brothers died in the valley below, just like tonight. Case shifts her position slightly, working a cramp out of her left calf. The volcanic rock beneath her is still warm from the day's heat, but the air carries the sharp chill of high altitude. She has been in this position for 3 hours already, watching the Rangers prepare their approach, watching the valley swallow them one step at a time. Her rifle is a custom M110 SAS, modified for extreme long-range precision. The suppressor adds weight to the barrel, but she is trained with this exact configuration for so long that the weapon feels like an extension of her own body. Magazine loaded, safety off. Scope zeroed for 900 meters with adjustment for elevation and the light crosswind coming from the northeast. She is ready. But ready for what? To watch? To observe while 163 men walk into what every instinct tells her is a trap? The column begins moving again. Jonah takes point, his rifle sweeping left and right as he leads his men deeper into the valley. Case tracks them through her scope, counting heads, memorizing positions. 30 meters apart, standard tactical spacing. Good discipline. It will not matter if the ridges light up with enemy fire. She pushes the thought aside. Hale has the intelligence reports. Hale has the satellite imagery. Hale has 30 years of combat experience and the full resources of Joint Special Operations Command at his disposal. If he says the valley is clear, then the valley is clear. And if it is not, She is under direct orders to do nothing. The radio crackles. Observer Rowan, status report. All quiet, sir. Column progressing as planned. No visual on hostiles. Keep it that way. Hail out. Case stares at the radio for a long moment. Keep it that way. As if she has any control over what happens in that valley. As if her job is to will the enemy into non-existence through sheer observation. 18 months ago, she would have trusted the chain of command without question. She would have followed orders because that is what soldiers do. But 18 months ago, she watched her team die while Hale's voice repeated the same phrase over and over. Hold fire, hold position, wait for confirmation. By the time confirmation came, there was no one left to save. The column reaches the center of the valley. This is the narrowest point, where the ridges press close on both sides and the ancient riverbed creates a natural choke point. Case's finger brushes the trigger guard, not touching the trigger itself, just resting nearby. Ready. Jonah stops again. Even from 900 meters, Case can see the tension in his shoulders. He is looking at the ridgelines now, really looking, his head turning slowly from left to right as he takes in the terrain. He sees it too. The realization sends a cold spike through her gut. Jonah sees the kill zone. He knows they are exposed, but he has his orders, just like she has hers, and the mission parameters say this valley is safe. She watches him make a decision. He signals the column to close up, reducing the spacing between soldiers. Tighter formation, easier to defend, easier to coordinate if contact occurs. Smart, but not smart enough. Because when the lights come on, when the muzzle flashes erupt from both ridges like a constellation of malevolent stars, tight formation will just mean more targets in a smaller space. Case tightens her grip on the rifle. The crosshairs drift across the southern ridge, then the northern. Still nothing. Just rocks and shadows and the suggestion of movement that could be wind or animals or her own paranoid imagination. But she knows. Deep in her bones, in the place where 18 months of guilt and anger have been compressing into something hard and sharp, she knows what is about to happen. And when it does, she will have a choice to make. A female sniper forbidden to fire in the middle of an ambush. What would you do in her place? Hit like and subscribe to follow this story to the end. The first sign is not visual. It is a feeling, a subtle shift in the air pressure that Case has learned to recognize through dozens of deployments. The valley is holding its breath. Then the lights come on. Not searchlights. Something worse. Tactical illuminators mounted on the ridgelines. Dozens of them, blazing to life in perfect synchronization. The valley floor transforms from shadow to harsh white glare in the space of a heartbeat. The Rangers freeze, blinded, their night vision destroyed in an instant, and then the shooting starts. Case's scope fills with chaos. Muzzle flashes erupt from every position she feared, every outcrop and hollow that her trained eye had flagged as potential ambush points. The sound reaches her a fraction of a second later, a rolling thunder of automatic fire that echoes off the valley walls until it becomes one continuous roar. The Rangers scatter, diving for cover that does not exist on the flat riverbed. Jonah is shouting orders, his voice lost in the cacophony, but his arm signals clear. Perimeter defense, return fire, call for support. His men respond with the discipline of elite soldiers, forming clusters, laying down suppressive fire, trying to create space. But there is no space to create. The enemy has them in a crossfire from elevated positions on both ridges. Every piece of cover is exposed to at least one firing angle. Every movement draws concentrated fire from multiple directions. Case counts the muzzle flashes. 50. 60. More still lighting up as reinforcements arrive. This is not a patrol ambush. This is a prepared defensive position, a kill box designed to annihilate everything that enters. Her finger moves from the trigger guard to the trigger. This is Observer Rowan requesting permission to engage. I have clear visual on multiple hostile positions. Confirm hostile combatants, no civilian indicators. Request immediate authorization to provide fire support. The radio is silent for 3 seconds. 4, 5. Negative Observer, hold your position. Sir, they are being slaughtered down there. I can see at least 60 shooters on the ridges. I have clean shots on command elements. Hale's voice returns, colder now. I said negative. Those could be local militia with legitimate grievances. We do not have confirmation of hostile intent. Case nearly laughs. Below her, 3 Rangers lie motionless on the valley floor. A fourth is being dragged toward minimal cover by two of his squad mates, leaving a dark trail behind him. Hostile intent is confirmed by the bodies stacking up. Sir, with respect, they are actively engaging our forces with military-grade weapons. I count RPG teams on the northern ridge and at least 2 heavy machine gun positions on the southern. This is not local militia. Your assessment is noted, Sergeant. Your orders remain unchanged. Do not engage without my express authorization. That is a direct order. The radio clicks off. Case stares at the receiver, then back at the valley. Another ranger falls. She can see Jonah crouched behind a boulder barely large enough to cover half his body, his rifle barking at shadows while rounds chip the stone inches from his face. She has seen this before. 18 months ago. Different valley, same pattern. Same voice on the radio telling her to wait. Same enemy that should not have known they were coming. Her mind races through the implications. Hale knew. He had to know. The intelligence that cleared this valley was either fabricated or deliberately ignored. The timing of the ambush, the positioning of the enemy forces, the prepared illumination system, none of this is coincidental. This is a planned kill, and Hale is ensuring she cannot interfere. Case reaches for the radio, then stops. If she argues further, she wastes time and changes nothing. Hale will not authorize engagement. He cannot because authorization would create a record, evidence that he knew the situation warranted lethal force and chose to withhold it. But if she acts without authorization, she becomes the scapegoat again. Insubordinate soldier opens fire against orders, causes international incident, faces court-martial. The perfect cover story. The same cover story that buried the truth about Black Ridge. She has 30 seconds to make a decision. Below, an RPG streaks across the valley and detonates near a cluster of rangers. The blast throws bodies in different directions. She cannot tell if they are alive or dead. 20 seconds. Another machine gun opens up, raking the riverbed with sustained fire. The Rangers are pinned down completely now, unable to move, unable to return effective fire against elevated positions they cannot see clearly in the blinding tactical lights. 10 seconds. Case's finger tightens on the trigger. The crosshairs settle on a figure standing on the northern ridge, gesturing to other fighters directing the ambush. Command element, high-value target. One shot to disrupt enemy coordination. But one shot will not stop this. One shot will just confirm that she disobeyed orders. Hale will have his scapegoat, and the Rangers will still die. Unless she commits fully. 5 seconds. She moves her hand from the rifle to the radio, switches to the Ranger tactical frequency, bypassing command entirely. Price, this is Rowan. I am about to do something that will end my career. Get your men low and count to 3. Jonah's response comes between bursts of gunfire. Case, whatever you are planning. Do you trust me? A pause that lasts a lifetime. Then, with my life, all of ours. Then get down and stay down. She switches off the radio. No more communication. No more authorization requests. No more waiting for permission that will never come. Case adjusts her position, bracing the rifle against a natural groove in the volcanic rock. Her breathing slows to that familiar 4-count rhythm. The chaos below fades to background noise. The muzzle flashes become reference points. The screams and explosions become data. She is no longer an observer. The first shot takes the command element through the center of mass. He drops without a sound, his gesturing arm falling limp. The fighters nearest to him freeze, confused, looking around for the source of fire. She does not give them time to find it. The second shot neutralizes the RPG gunner on the northern ridge. The third takes his loader before he can grab the weapon. The fourth and fifth silence the machine gun position on the southern ridge. 1 round for the gunner, 1 for the ammunition bearer. Case works the bolt with mechanical precision, each motion flowing into the next. She is not thinking anymore. 18 months of suppressed rage and guilt and grief have crystallized into something pure and cold. Every target is a threat to the men below. Every trigger pull is a debt repaid. The enemy begins to realize they are being hunted. Fighters abandon their positions, scrambling for cover, looking up at the ridges for the ghost that is killing them one by one. Their coordinated ambush dissolves into chaos. And still she fires. The radio erupts with Hale's voice, but she has muted the command frequency. She can see the transmission indicator blinking, can imagine the fury in his words, but she does not need to hear them. She knows what he is saying. Stand down. Cease fire. You are finished. She is finished either way. The question is whether 163 Rangers finish with her. A burst of automatic fire rakes the rocks around her position. Someone on the northern ridge has spotted her muzzle flash. Rounds crack past her head, showering her with stone fragments. She rolls to the left, finds a new firing position, and returns to work. The enemy machine gun team never sees the shot that ends them, but the fire from the ridges is increasingly directed her way. She has become the primary target, drawing attention away from the valley floor. Good. Every round aimed at her is a round not aimed at Jonah and his men. She settles the crosshairs on another cluster of fighters, breathes out slowly, and squeezes. The volcanic rock beneath her is heating up. Not from the day's warmth this time. She registers the orange glow in her peripheral vision, the crackle and pop of dry brush igniting somewhere behind her. An RPG must have impacted the slope, catching the scattered vegetation that clings to the mountainside. Fire. She is fighting on a ridge that is catching fire. The flames spread faster than she expected. Volcanic soil is porous, filled with pockets of combustible gas and organic material that burns hot and quick. Within minutes, a wall of orange advances toward her position, close enough to feel the heat on her back, close enough to see the smoke beginning to curl around her. She does not stop firing. Through the haze, she picks targets by their muzzle flashes. The enemy has adapted, using the smoke as cover, but muzzle flash cannot be hidden. Every time a rifle barks from the ridges, she notes the position. Every time she has a clear angle, she takes the shot. Her magazine runs dry. She drops it, slaps in a fresh one, and continues. The fire is closer now. The heat is becoming difficult to ignore, searing the exposed skin on her neck and hands. Sweat pours down her face, stinging her eyes, but she cannot look away from the scope. Every second of inattention is a second where a ranger might die. Another burst of incoming fire. This time, the rounds come closer, much closer. Pain explodes along the side of her head. Case gasps, her hand flying to her ear. Her fingers come away wet. A round has grazed her, carving a furrow through the cartilage and the skin behind it. Blood streams down her neck, soaking into her collar, hot against her cooling sweat. She should feel fear. She should feel the urge to retreat, to find better cover, to prioritize her own survival. Instead, she feels something closer to relief. This is the price. This is what she owes. 6 teammates dead at Black Ridge, and she walked away without a scratch. The universe has been waiting 18 months to collect on that debt, and now it is collecting. She will pay in blood if she has to, but she will not pay with 163 more lives. Case will disobey orders or let 163 soldiers die. Comment below what choice you would make. The fire is at her heels now, close enough that she can feel individual embers landing on her clothing. The smoke is thick, acrid, filling her lungs with every breath. She has maybe 2 minutes before this position becomes untenable, but the valley below is changing. The enemy fire is slackening, their coordinated assault fragmenting as key positions go silent. She can see Rangers advancing now, pushing toward the edges of the kill zone, returning accurate fire against enemies who have lost their command structure. Jonah is leading the push, his tall frame unmistakable even through the smoke. He moves with the confidence of a man who knows someone is watching his back, covering his advance, eliminating threats before they can materialize. Case shifts her aim to the southern ridge, where a cluster of fighters is repositioning to flank the Ranger advance. She leads the first target, accounting for the crosswind that has picked up from the spreading fire, and fires. The fighter drops. His companions scatter. She tracks them through the smoke, picking them off one by one as they run for better cover. Her rifle is an extension of her will, and her will is singular. No more deaths. Not today. Not these men. The heat is unbearable now. Her uniform is starting to smolder, tiny orange points glowing along her sleeves. She can smell burning fabric, burning hair. The rock beneath her is hot enough to blister skin. She has to move, but moving means losing the angle. Moving means giving the enemy a window to reorganize. Moving means Rangers might die while she repositions. Case grits her teeth and stays. Another magazine, her 4th. She has 2 remaining after this one, plus the rounds in her sidearm. Enough to make a difference if she chooses her targets carefully. A new sound cuts through the chaos. Helicopter rotors. She risks a glance toward the eastern horizon and sees navigation lights approaching, the distinctive silhouette of medevac birds coming in hot. Someone called for support. Probably Jonah, using the distraction of her covering fire to get a transmission through. The enemy sees them too. Fighters on the northern ridge are repositioning, dragging an RPG launcher toward a firing position with a clear angle on the approaching helicopters. Case does not hesitate. The first shot takes the RPG gunner in the shoulder, spinning him away from the weapon. The second kills the fighter reaching to grab it. The third destroys the launcher itself, her round striking the warhead and detonating it in place. The explosion is spectacular, a ball of orange fire that illuminates the entire northern ridge for a brief, frozen moment. Secondary detonations follow as ammunition cooks off, driving the surviving fighters away from the position in panicked retreat. The helicopters begin their descent. Case allows herself one breath of relief before the fire reaches her position. The flames come faster than she can retreat, racing up the slope on a gust of wind that turns the smoldering brush into an inferno. She rolls away from her firing position, abandoning the natural groove that has served as her nest for the past hour, and scrambles toward a cluster of larger rocks 20 meters uphill. The ground beneath her feet is treacherous. Loose volcanic stone shifts with every step, threatening to send her tumbling back into the advancing flames. The heat is a physical force pressing against her back, stealing the air from her lungs. She reaches the rocks and throws herself behind them, gasping for breath. The smoke is everywhere now, thick and black, reducing visibility to arm's length. She cannot see the valley. She cannot see the enemy. She cannot see anything except fire and shadow. But she can hear. Through the roar of flames and the distant chatter of gunfire, she hears something that makes her blood run cold. Her radio, still tuned to the Ranger frequency, still receiving even though she has been transmitting nothing. "Rowan, this is Price. We are clear of the kill zone. Casualties are being loaded onto the birds." "Where are you, Case? Respond." She reaches for the radio, but her fingers are clumsy, burned, unresponsive. The device slips from her grasp, tumbling down the slope toward the fire line. It does not matter. Jonah knows she is up here. He will send someone or he will come himself. She just needs to survive long enough to be found. The fire roars closer. Case presses herself against the rocks, making herself as small as possible, trying to find breathable air in the narrow gap between stone and ground. Her lungs burn, her skin burns, everything burns. But below, in the valley she can no longer see, 163 Rangers are climbing onto helicopters. 163 families will not receive flags. 163 soldiers will go home to people who love them. That is worth burning for. The flames reach the rocks and split around them, flowing past her shelter like water around a stone. The heat is incredible, apocalyptic, but the rocks provide just enough protection. She curls into a ball, covering her head with her arms, and waits for the fire to pass. It takes an eternity. It takes seconds. Time loses meaning when you are being cooked alive. And then, somehow, it is over. The fire has moved past her, racing further up the mountain, leaving behind a landscape of ash and glowing embers. Case uncurls slowly, testing her body for damage. Burns on her arms, her neck, her hands. The wound on her ear is still bleeding, mixing with sweat and soot to paint half her face red and black. She is alive. More importantly, the men in the valley are alive. She pushes herself to her knees, then her feet. The world sways dangerously, but she locks her legs and forces herself to remain upright. Her rifle is gone, lost somewhere in the fire. Her sidearm is still on her hip, the polymer grip partially melted but functional. Through the clearing smoke, she can see the helicopters lifting off from the valley floor, their rotors kicking up dust and ash as they climb towards safety. She counts them. 3 birds, fully loaded. 163 Rangers minus the casualties she could not prevent. The enemy positions have gone silent. Whether they have retreated or been eliminated, she cannot tell. It does not matter. The mission is complete. The ambush has failed. And somewhere in a command center hundreds of miles away, Colonel Victor Hale is watching everything fall apart. She wonders what he is thinking. She wonders if he knows yet that his carefully constructed kill box has been dismantled by the same woman he tried to silence 18 months ago. She wonders if he understands that the recording device hidden in her tactical headset has been transmitting everything to a secure server, every order he gave, every authorization he withheld, every second of evidence that will seal his fate. Probably not. Hale has always underestimated her. It is his greatest weakness and her greatest advantage. Case begins the long walk down the mountain, her boots crunching through ash and cinder, her eyes fixed on the distant lights of the helicopter landing zone. Behind her, the fire continues its march up the slope, consuming everything in its path. But she does not look back. She has spent 18 months looking back, replaying Black Ridge in her mind, searching for the moment where she could have done something different. 18 months of guilt and shame and the constant, grinding weight of other people's deaths on her conscience. Tonight, she made a different choice. Tonight, she refused to let history repeat itself. The consequences will come. Hale will try to court-martial her again. The official report will paint her as a rogue element, a traumatized veteran who snapped under pressure and endangered international relations with her unauthorized actions. But 163 Rangers will testify that she saved their lives. 163 witnesses who saw the ambush, who saw the enemy positions light up, who saw her single-handedly dismantle a coordinated assault from 900 meters away. That is not nothing. That is not nothing at all. She reaches the base of the mountain as the last helicopter lifts off. Jonah is standing at the edge of the landing zone, waving the bird away, his rifle slung across his back. When he sees her emerge from the smoke, his expression cycles through relief, then concern, then something that looks almost like awe. "You look like you walked through the underworld." Felt like it too. He takes her arm, steadying her when she stumbles. "The medics are on the birds. We need to get you." "I am fine." "Case, half your face is covered in blood and your sleeves are on fire." She looks down. He is right. Small flames are still licking at the charred fabric of her uniform. She pats them out with numb fingers. "Better?" Jonah does not laugh. His eyes are serious, searching her face for something she cannot identify. "You disobeyed a direct order from a full colonel. You know what that means." "I know what it means. They will come for you. Hale will make sure of it. Let them come." She meets his gaze and holds it. There is no fear in her eyes, no regret. Just the cold, settled certainty of someone who has finally stopped running from the truth. "Hale is not the hero everyone thinks he is, Jonah. Black Ridge was not my fault. Tonight was not a coincidence. He has been playing both sides for years, and I am going to prove it." Jonah is quiet for a long moment. The wind shifts, carrying the smell of smoke and cordite across the landing zone. Somewhere in the distance, the fire still burns. Finally, he nods. "What do you need from me?" "Just your testimony. What you saw tonight. What orders came through your radio. What should have happened versus what did happen. You have it. Whatever you need." She allows herself a small smile, the first genuine expression to cross her face in hours. "Thank you, Jonah. Do not thank me yet. Hale has friends in high places. This fight is just starting." "I know." She turns toward the approaching support vehicles, their headlights cutting through the dissipating smoke. "But at least now I am fighting. That is more than I could say yesterday." She takes 3 steps before her legs give out. The ground rushes up to meet her, and the last thing she sees before darkness takes her is Jonah's face, shouting her name, calling for medics. But even as consciousness fades, one thought remains clear and bright in her mind. 163. They are alive. Whatever comes next, they are alive. The medical tent smells like antiseptic and burned fabric. Case wakes to fluorescent lights and the steady beep of monitoring equipment, her body wrapped in bandages that pull tight across her shoulders and arms. A medic hovers nearby, checking an IV line, his expression carefully neutral. "Welcome back, Sergeant. You gave Captain Price quite a scare." Her throat feels like sandpaper. "How long?" 4 hours. You passed out from smoke inhalation and dehydration. The burns are second degree, mostly superficial. The ear will scar, but you will keep full hearing." He pauses, glancing toward the tent entrance. "There are some people waiting to speak with you." Before she can ask who, 2 military police officers step through the canvas flap. Their presence fills the small space with an uncomfortable authority. The senior officer, a staff sergeant with a weathered face, approaches her cot with measured steps. "Sergeant Kayla Rowan, you are hereby ordered to accompany us for questioning regarding tonight's engagement. Colonel Hale has filed a formal complaint of insubordination and unauthorized use of lethal force." The medic starts to protest. She just regained consciousness. She needs rest. She needs to answer for her actions. The MP's tone allows no argument. "Can you walk, Sergeant?" Case pushes herself upright, ignoring the protest from her burned skin. Every movement sends sharp reminders of the fire, but she has endured worse. She has endured 18 months of whispers and pointed fingers, and the crushing weight of blame for deaths she did not cause. This is just more of the same. "I can walk." They escort her through the base compound as dawn breaks across the Afghan horizon. The sky is painted in shades of orange and red that remind her too much of the fire. Rangers moving between buildings stop to watch her pass, their faces showing a mixture of curiosity and something that might be respect. Word travels fast in close quarters. The interrogation room is exactly what she expected. Bare concrete walls, a metal table, 2 chairs, and a camera in the corner recording everything. The MPs leave her alone, but she knows Hale is watching from somewhere, preparing his case, constructing the narrative that will bury her. She sits and waits. Minutes pass. The silence is heavy, oppressive, designed to make suspects uncomfortable. But Case has spent countless hours in positions far more uncomfortable than this chair, waiting for targets that sometimes never appeared. Silence does not frighten her. The door opens. Colonel Victor Hale enters, his uniform immaculate despite the hour, his bearing that of a man accustomed to absolute authority. He does not sit. He stands across the table, looking down at her with an expression that blends disappointment and controlled anger. "Sergeant Rowan, do you understand the severity of what you have done?" She meets his gaze without flinching. "I saved 163 lives, sir. You disobeyed a direct order from your commanding officer during active combat operations. You engaged targets without authorization. You acted as judge, jury, and executioner in a situation that required careful political consideration. The situation required immediate action to prevent a massacre." Hale places both hands on the table, leaning forward. His voice drops to something quieter, more dangerous. "You have no idea what you have interfered with, Sergeant. The intelligence parameters for that mission were calculated at levels far above your clearance. Your actions tonight may have compromised months of delicate negotiation with regional power brokers. The only thing I compromised was an ambush that killed 3 Rangers and wounded 17 more. An ambush that should not have been possible if our intelligence was accurate." Something flickers across Hale's face. Just for a moment, the mask slips, and she sees the calculation behind his eyes. He is deciding how much to reveal, how much to admit. The intelligence was accurate. The valley was assessed as low threat. Then how did 60-plus fighters with military-grade weapons and a prepared defensive position materialize in a low-threat area, sir? Hale straightens, his expression hardening. "That is being investigated. What is not being investigated is whether you followed your orders. You did not. Therefore, you will face court-martial for the second time in 18 months. And this time, Sergeant, there will be no inconclusive verdict. I will personally ensure that you are held accountable." "Like you held me accountable for Black Ridge?" The words hang in the air between them. Hale's jaw tightens, but he does not respond immediately. When he does speak, his voice carries the weight of absolute certainty. "Black Ridge was a tragedy. 6 good soldiers died because of inadequate Overwatch support. The investigation was thorough and fair. The investigation was a cover-up. Careful, Sergeant. You are already facing serious charges. Adding accusations against superior officers will not improve your situation." Case leans forward, ignoring the pull of bandages across her shoulders. "You ordered me to hold fire at Black Ridge, just like tonight. The exact same scenario. Planned ambush, intelligence that should have prevented it, and your voice on the radio telling me to wait while soldiers died. Those were tactical decisions made with incomplete information in rapidly evolving situations. No, sir. Those were deliberate choices to ensure specific outcomes. And tonight, I have proof." Hale goes very still. "What proof?" She taps the side of her head where the tactical headset would normally rest. "My communications equipment has been recording since I took this position. Every order you gave, every authorization you withheld, every word is documented on a secure server that updates in real time." The color drains from Hale's face. For 3 seconds he says nothing. Then he moves toward the door, his hand reaching for the handle. "That recording is inadmissible. You had no authority to—" The door opens before he touches it. 2 men in civilian clothes enter, followed by a brigadier general whose uniform displays the insignia of Joint Special Operations Command. Behind them, a younger officer in Signals Corps uniform carries a tablet and a sealed evidence bag. The general's voice is calm, professional, devoid of emotion. "Colonel Hale, remain in the room, please. Sergeant Rowan, you are no longer under interrogation for insubordination. This has become a counterintelligence investigation." Hale freezes. "Sir, I do not understand." "The understanding will come shortly, Colonel. Please sit." It is not a request. Hale sits, his movements stiff, his eyes darting between the newcomers and Case. She remains motionless, watching the scene unfold with the patience of someone who has been waiting 18 months for this exact moment. The signals officer speaks first, addressing the general rather than anyone else in the room. Sir, at 23:47 hours, our monitoring station intercepted an encrypted communication originating from Colonel Hale's personal command frequency. The encryption was non-standard, utilizing a commercial cipher rather than military protocols. He taps the tablet, and a voice fills the room. Hale's voice, but not the controlled, authoritative tone he uses with subordinates. This version is quieter, almost conversational. "How much longer until your people finish the job?" A second voice responds, male, speaking accented English. "The Rangers are pinned. Another 10 minutes and there will be no survivors." "Good, make it clean, and remember our arrangement." "Do not worry, Colonel. When this is finished, your reputation will be enhanced. A tragic loss, but proof of the danger in this region. Proof that more resources are needed, more funding, more contracts." "Exactly. Just make sure the observer on the ridge does not interfere." "The woman? She has no authorization to fire. You told us this yourself." "I did. But she has a history of being unpredictable. If she becomes a problem, eliminate her position." The recording ends. The silence that follows is absolute. Hale has gone from pale to gray. His hands grip the edge of the table, knuckles white with tension. When he speaks, his voice is barely above a whisper. "That is fabricated. Someone is trying to frame me." The general places a folder on the table, opening it to reveal satellite images, financial records, and communication logs. "We have been investigating discrepancies in intelligence reporting from this sector for 6 months, Colonel. Raids that failed due to inaccurate target packages, ambushes that occurred in areas cleared as safe, a pattern of information leaks that consistently benefited enemy forces." One of the civilian investigators adds, "Your personal accounts show deposits from shell corporations linked to known arms dealers. Your communication records show contacts with individuals on terrorist watch lists. Your travel history places you in locations that correlate with intelligence breaches. This is nonsense. I am a decorated officer with 30 years of service. You are a traitor." The general's voice cuts through Hale's protest with surgical precision. "You have been selling operational intelligence to hostile forces in exchange for kickbacks from military contractors who benefit from extended conflicts. You orchestrated the Black Ridge ambush to eliminate witnesses who questioned your intelligence reporting. Tonight, you attempted to repeat that pattern." Hale surges to his feet. "You cannot prove any of this. You have no—" "We have everything, Colonel. 6 months of evidence, financial forensics, signal intelligence. And now, thanks to Sergeant Rowan's tactical recording, we have your voice explicitly coordinating with enemy forces during an active engagement." The military police who brought Case to the interrogation room re-enter, but this time their attention is focused entirely on Hale. The senior MP produces handcuffs, standard issue steel that gleam under the fluorescent lights. "Colonel Victor Hale, you are under arrest for treason, conspiracy to commit murder, providing material support to terrorist organizations, and multiple violations of the Uniform Code of Military Justice. You have the right to remain silent." The words wash over the room like a wave, familiar and procedural, and utterly damning. Hale does not resist as the cuffs click closed around his wrists. He stands there, his legendary composure finally shattered, looking at Case with an expression that cycles between rage and disbelief. "You planned this. You used those Rangers as bait." Case rises slowly from her chair, meeting his gaze with the same cold certainty she felt on the mountainside. "No, sir. I saved those Rangers despite you. The bait was not them. It was you." "What are you talking about?" 18 months ago, you made a mistake at Black Ridge. You were too confident, too certain that I would follow orders while my team died, but you left loose ends, questions that did not have good answers. So when you assigned me to tonight's mission with the same parameters, the same impossible restrictions, I knew you were trying to finish what you started." She gestures to the tablet in the signals officer's hands. "I have been wearing recording equipment for 3 months, Colonel. Every mission, every briefing, every order, waiting for you to make the same mistake twice, waiting for you to reveal yourself." Hale's expression twists into something ugly. "You sacrificed those men to catch me. You are no better than—" "I saved those men despite you." Her voice is level, but there is steel beneath the calm. "Every single one of them is alive because I chose to act. Because I chose to disobey your orders and do what was right instead of what was convenient for your career." The general nods to the MPs. "Remove the colonel. He is to be held in isolation pending formal charges. They lead Hale toward the door. He stops at the threshold, looking back at Case one final time. This will not stand. I have friends, I have connections. You have no idea how deep this goes. Then I guess we will find out together, sir. The door closes behind him. The sound of his boots fading down the corridor feels like the final note of a song that has been playing for 18 months. The general turns to Case, his expression softening slightly. Sergeant Rowan, you are aware that your methods were highly irregular. Yes, sir. Operating recording equipment without authorization. Conducting an unauthorized investigation into a superior officer. Deliberately creating a situation designed to expose criminal activity. Yes, sir. Under normal circumstances, these actions would result in disciplinary measures. Case stands at attention, her burned skin protesting the movement, her exhaustion weighing on every syllable. I understand, sir. I accept whatever consequences are appropriate. The general studies her for a long moment. Then he does something unexpected. He extends his hand. The circumstances are not normal, Sergeant. You identified a significant counterintelligence threat. You gathered evidence that will dismantle a network of corruption stretching across multiple theaters of operation. And most importantly, you saved 163 lives while doing it. She shakes his hand, too surprised to speak. The investigation into Colonel Hale will continue. We will need your full testimony, your recordings, and your cooperation as this case develops. But as of this moment, you are cleared of all charges related to tonight's engagement. Furthermore, the Black Ridge investigation is being reopened in light of new evidence. Sir, her voice catches. 18 months of weight suddenly lifting, leaving her off balance, uncertain how to stand without it pressing down on her shoulders. You were right, Sergeant. Black Ridge was not your fault. You were following orders that were designed to create casualties. Orders given by a man who profited from American blood. The general's expression hardens. That will be made clear in the official record. Your service record will be amended. Your reputation will be restored. One of the civilian investigators adds, we will also need to debrief you on Hale's patterns. Any suspicious orders, any missions that felt wrong, anything that might lead us to his associates. There is a voice on the recording, the man Hale was speaking with. We are working on identification. The encryption suggests sophistication beyond typical regional forces. We believe Hale was part of a larger network, possibly involving contractors, foreign intelligence, or both. This is just the beginning. Subscribe and hit the bell so you do not miss what happens next when they hunt down the rest of the network. The debriefing lasts 3 hours. Case walks them through every mission over the past 18 months, every order from Hale that felt off, every piece of intelligence that proved inaccurate. The investigators take notes, cross-reference with their existing evidence, build a timeline of corruption that stretches back years before Black Ridge. When it is finally over, the general dismisses everyone except Case. They stand alone in the interrogation room that has transformed from her trial to Hale's condemnation. Sergeant, I need to ask you something off the record. Sir? When you disobeyed Hale's orders tonight, did you know for certain he was a traitor? Or were you gambling and on a hunch? Case considers the question carefully. I knew something was wrong, sir. The pattern was too similar to Black Ridge. The restrictions were too arbitrary. But concrete proof? Not until I heard that recording. So you gambled. I calculated. There were 3 possibilities. 1, Hale was incompetent, in which case overriding his orders saved lives. 2, Hale was following bad intelligence, in which case overriding his orders saved lives. 3, Hale was actively malicious, in which case overriding his orders saved lives and exposed a traitor. She meets his eyes. No matter which scenario was true, the Rangers came home. That was the only calculation that mattered. The general nods slowly. You have the instincts of an officer, Sergeant. Have you ever considered a commission? I am a sniper, sir. I work best alone. Tonight suggests otherwise. Tonight you commanded an entire battlefield from a single position. He pauses at the door. Think about it. The Army needs soldiers who can see the larger picture while focusing on the details. That is a rare combination. He leaves her alone with her thoughts. Case stands in the empty room, feeling the weight of 18 months finally release its grip on her chest, the official vindication, the restoration of her reputation, the proof that she was right all along. It should feel triumphant. It should feel like victory. Instead, it feels like grief. Because 6 soldiers still died at Black Ridge, 6 families still receive flags, 6 sets of dog tags still rest in graves across America. Her vindication does not bring them back. Her righteousness does not undo their deaths. She closes her eyes and sees their faces, remembers their voices, knows their names in a way that official reports never will. They are gone. And knowing it was not her fault does not make them any less dead. The door opens again. This time it is Jonah, still in his combat uniform, dust and smoke still clinging to his gear. He looks at her with concern that transcends rank and protocol. "Case, the medics told me you were being interrogated. I came as soon as I heard." "It is over, Jonah. Hale is under arrest for treason. Black Ridge is being reopened. I am cleared." He exhales slowly, tension draining from his shoulders. "Thank God. When they took you away, I thought—" He stops himself. "I am glad you are okay. 163 Rangers made it home tonight. That is what matters. They made it home because of you." Jonah reaches into his tactical vest and pulls out a folded piece of fabric. "The men wanted you to have this. We took a vote. It was unanimous." He unfolds the fabric to reveal a patch, the 163rd Ranger Battalion insignia, hand-sewn with careful precision. But beneath the standard design, someone has added numbers in thread. 163. This is the combat patch we all earned tonight. Every man who walked into that valley and came back out. We all have one. He holds it out to her. And the consensus is, if anyone earned the right to wear this particular patch, it is the woman who made sure we all came home. Case takes the patch with trembling fingers. The fabric is rough, military grade, designed to withstand harsh conditions. The stitching is imperfect, done by hand in the field rather than by machine. It is the most beautiful thing she has ever seen. "Jonah, I cannot." "You can. You will." His voice is firm, allowing no argument. "When people ask me how 163 Rangers survived an ambush in Durham Valley, I will tell them about the woman on the ridge, the woman who disobeyed death instead of orders, the woman who burned to keep us safe." She looks at the patch, then at Jonah, then back at the patch. The numbers blur as moisture fills her eyes. She has not cried in 18 months, has not allowed herself that weakness. But standing here, holding proof that her actions meant something, that she saved lives instead of costing them, the dam finally breaks. 6 people died at Black Ridge. I know. I could not save them. I know that too. Jonah's voice is gentle. But tonight you saved 163. And that is not nothing, Case. That is everything. She clutches the patch against her chest, feeling the weight of it, the meaning it carries. 163 lives. 163 families who will not receive the knock on the door. 163 futures that continue because she made a choice. "Thank you," she whispers. "No, Case. Thank you." They stand together in comfortable silence, 2 soldiers who have seen the worst of war and somehow found a way to preserve the best of humanity. Finally, Jonah clears his throat. "The men are gathering in the mess hall. They want to see you, to thank you properly." "I do not need thanks. Maybe not, but they need to give it." He offers his arm. "Come on, you can lean on me if you need to." She does need to. Her legs are shaking with exhaustion, her burns pulling with every movement. But she accepts his support, and together they walk out of the interrogation room, down the corridor, toward the sound of voices raised in conversation. The mess hall goes quiet when she enters. 163 Rangers, some bandaged, some limping, some showing no visible injury but carrying the weight of combat in their eyes, all turn to look at her. For a moment, nobody moves. Then one soldier, a young private who cannot be more than 20 years old, stands and begins to clap. Another joins him. Then another. Within seconds, the entire hall is on its feet, applause rolling through the space like thunder, building until it shakes the walls. Case stands frozen in the doorway, overwhelmed by the sound, by the sight of these men who owe her nothing and yet offer her everything. Jonah leans close, speaking directly into her ear so she can hear him over the noise. "They know what you did, they know what it cost you, and they want you to know that it mattered." The applause continues for a full minute before gradually subsiding. The Rangers settle back into their seats, but their eyes remain fixed on her, waiting, expecting something. She has no speech prepared, no inspiring words. She is just a sniper who did her job, who made a choice, who refused to let history repeat itself. But she owes them something. These men who trusted her, who followed her guidance through the chaos, who survived because she decided their lives were worth more than her career. She steps forward, her voice quiet but carrying in the sudden silence. Tonight, we walked into a trap. Someone wanted us dead. Someone planned for us to die in that valley, for this mission to end in tragedy, for your families to receive flags instead of having you come home. She pauses, gathering her thoughts. I am not a hero. I am a sniper who took shots she was told not to take, who broke rules because following them would have cost lives that matter more than regulations. Tonight was not about glory or recognition. Tonight was about making sure you all got to see tomorrow. One of the sergeants near the front speaks up, his voice carrying the weight of someone who has seen death up close. Ma'am, you saved our lives. That makes you a hero to us. Case shakes her head slowly, her burned fingers gripping the edge of a nearby table for support. No, tonight proves something different. It proves that following unjust orders is not strength. It proves that real courage is knowing when to disobey. It proves that doing the right thing is more important than protecting your own future. She holds up the patch Jonah gave her, the fabric rough against her damaged skin. You gave me this, the symbol of what we earned together. But the truth is, I should have earned this 18 months ago. 6 soldiers died at Black Ridge because I followed orders I knew were wrong. Tonight, 163 lived because I finally learned from that mistake. The hall is completely silent now. Every eye is locked on her face, some wet with unshed tears, others blazing with the fierce loyalty that only shared combat can forge. So do not thank me. Instead, remember this. Remember that authority is not always right, that orders can be unjust, that sometimes the hardest choice is also the most necessary one. She straightens despite the pain lancing through her shoulders, despite the exhaustion threatening to drop her where she stands. And remember that you are all worth saving. Every single one of you matters more than any mission, any objective, any political consideration. When it came down to your lives or my career, there was no choice at all. The silence holds for 3 seconds. Then the applause erupts again, louder than before, accompanied by shouts and cheers and the kind of genuine respect that cannot be manufactured or commanded. Several Rangers stand, then more, until the entire room is on its feet once more, the sound building like rolling thunder across mountain valleys. Case feels something inside her chest loosen. Not healing? Not yet. 6 graves still exist, 6 families still mourn, but for the first time in 18 months, she can breathe without feeling like she is drowning in guilt. The celebration continues around her, Rangers sharing stories of the battle, pointing out the moment they realized someone was covering them, describing the precision of shots that saved their lives. One young corporal demonstrates how he saw an enemy machine gunner drop mid-burst, the weapon going silent just as he broke from cover. Another describes watching muzzle flashes disappear one by one from the ridgeline, like stars being extinguished by an unseen hand. Case listens, accepts their thanks, and slowly begins to believe that maybe, just maybe, she has earned the right to forgive herself. Near midnight, she slips away from the mess hall and walks to the edge of the compound. The Afghan sky is clear, stars visible in impossible numbers, the kind of view that only exists far from civilization. She sits on a concrete barrier and looks up at the cosmos, tracing familiar constellations that have guided soldiers since ancient times. Her radio, replaced after the fire, crackles with routine traffic, guard rotations, equipment checks, the normal rhythm of a forward operating base at night. The mundane sounds are almost soothing after the chaos of combat. Then a new voice cuts through, encrypted, brief, 3 words that change everything. Sentinel Actual, be advised, Tower 4 sends regards. Case goes rigid, her hand instinctively reaching for the sidearm on her hip. Tower 4. That designation does not exist in any official registry, but she knows it. Remembers it from classified briefings years ago, before Black Ridge, when she was being read into operations that technically never happened. Tower 4 is not a place, it is a network. A coalition of defense contractors, intelligence brokers, and mercenary coordinators who operate in the gray spaces between legal and illegal, sanctioned and rogue. They are the puppet masters who profit when soldiers die, who engineer conflicts to justify billion-dollar contracts, who view American blood as just another line item in a quarterly report. And they are sending regards. She keys her radio to respond, but the frequency is already dead. Whoever sent that message is gone, leaving only a calling card and an implied threat. The message is clear. We see you. We know what you did. We are watching. Hale was not working alone. He was not even the top of the pyramid. He was middle management in an organization that spans continents, that profits from prolonged conflicts, that needs wars to justify their existence. And now they know she is the one who brought down Hale. They know she has evidence. They know she is a threat to an operation that generates billions in revenue from human suffering. Case looks at the stars and feels the familiar weight settling back onto her shoulders. Not guilt this time. Something different. Something colder. Purpose. She saved 163 lives tonight. She exposed one traitor. She proved that doing the right thing is possible even when the system fights against you. But the system is bigger than Hale. The corruption runs deeper than one colonel's greed. And somewhere out there, the people who benefit from American blood are watching, waiting, planning their next move. Case stands, her burns protesting, her exhaustion demanding rest. But she ignores both. She has work to do, evidence to secure, testimony to prepare. A network to dismantle piece by piece until every person responsible for Black Ridge and Durham Valley and countless other tragedies faces justice. It will take time. It will cost more than she wants to pay. But 163 Rangers made it home tonight because she refused to quit. She is not going to start now. Behind her, Jonah emerges from the mess hall, searching for her with the persistence of someone who knows when a friend needs support. Case, you okay? She turns to face him, and he must see something in her expression because his own face shifts from concern to understanding. Years of reading body language in combat zones have taught him to recognize when someone has just received a threat. What happened? Tower 4 just made contact. His eyes widen, the color draining slightly from his face. The contractor network? They are involved in this? Hale was not working alone. This goes higher than we thought, much higher. Jonah is quiet for a moment, processing the implications. She can see him running tactical calculations, assessing the new threat, understanding that this fight just escalated from one corrupt colonel to a shadowy organization with unlimited resources. Then he straightens, his jaw setting with the kind of determination that has carried him through a decade of deployments. What do you need? I need the 163. I need their testimony. I need every detail of tonight documented and secured before anyone can bury it. Video recordings, written statements, everything backed up in multiple locations where it cannot be erased. You have it, all of it. He pauses, then adds with quiet conviction, and I am coming with you. Wherever this leads, you are not going alone. Case looks at him, this man who has stood by her through 18 months of accusations, who trusted her when everyone else assumed guilt, who offers support without hesitation or calculation. This is going to get dangerous, Jonah. These people play for keeps. They have resources, connections, the ability to make problems disappear. Going after them means putting a target on our backs. So do we. He gestures back toward the mess hall, where laughter and voices still echo into the night. We have 163 Rangers who owe you their lives. You think any of them will let you face this alone? You think they will just go home and forget that you burned to keep them safe? Despite everything, despite the weight and the danger and the long road ahead, Case smiles. The expression feels strange on her face after so many months of carrying nothing but grief. I suppose not. Then let them come. Let Tower 4 and whoever else is involved know that they are not just fighting one angry sniper. They are fighting everyone who came home tonight because that sniper refused to let them die. They are fighting an entire battalion of witnesses who will not be silenced. She nods slowly, feeling something shift inside her. Not just determination, something bigger. A sense that maybe this fight is winnable after all. All right, then we do this properly. We build an airtight case, we follow every thread, and we do not stop until everyone involved answers for what they have done. Agreed. Jonah extends his hand, the gesture formal despite their friendship. Partners? She shakes it firmly, her burned palm stinging against his grip. Partners. They stand together at the edge of the compound, looking out at the darkness that surrounds the base. Somewhere in that darkness, enemies are watching, planning, preparing their countermove. But for the first time in 18 months, Case is not facing them alone. She has 163 allies. She has evidence that cannot be suppressed. She has purpose that cannot be shaken. And most importantly, she has finally learned the most important lesson any soldier can learn. Justice is not loud. Justice is patient. Tonight they rest. Tomorrow they hunt. The stars wheel overhead, indifferent to human concerns, marking the passage of time in their ancient patterns. Case watches them for a moment longer, then turns back toward the base, her shadow stretching long across the dusty ground. She has reports to file, testimony to prepare, a war to win that has nothing to do with enemy combatants and everything to do with enemies within. But before any of that, she needs to do one more thing. She walks to her quarters, retrieves a marker, and carefully writes 3 numbers on the back of the patch Jonah gave her, 163. Then beneath it, she adds 6 more numbers. The casualty count from Black Ridge. Both matter, both will be remembered, and both will be avenged. She pins the patch to her tactical vest, right over her heart, where it will stay until this fight is finished. The weight of it feels right, like a promise made physical. 163 soldiers came home tonight. 6 soldiers did not come home 18 months ago. The math is simple. The mission is clear. Justice for all of them, no matter how long it takes, no matter what it costs, no matter who stands in the way. Case lies down on her bunk, her body finally demanding the rest she has denied it. As consciousness fades, her last thought is not of fire or fear or the enemies gathering in the shadows. It is of Jonah's words, spoken with absolute conviction. You saved 163 lives. That is everything. Maybe it is not everything. Not yet. Not while Tower 4 remains operational. Not while the network that killed her brothers at Black Ridge still profits from American sacrifice. But it is a start, and sometimes a start is all you need to change the world.
Every soldier carry a story that few ever hear. Listen with your heart. Thank you for staying and watching. Subscribe to MVB Story for more.